I have insurance, and so I don't need to focus on anything else other than just my physical well-being, because a bike is completely replaceable. And the fact that you have insurance and that you're protected and you're covered, all you need to do is focus on yourself and getting yourself better. Like, I'm going to try and I'm going to take risks and I'm going to take chances, because why else? Why would you not, right? I'm Alicia Speak. I'm 37. I'm a full-time lawyer, but I'm also a cyclist for Cycle Team London.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging around. It's packed. It's been great. It's been a great few days, and we've got, well, a legend about to come on stage, a living legend. It's not just Adam Blythe, he is also a living,
thanks,
now retired legend.
Thank you.
Oh, happy retirement as well, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, it's got a big new chapter coming up for you. But this is going to be a bit of fun, isn't it? A lot of fun.
Hopefully,
we're going to be going through Mark Cavendish's best 6 wins. So we've got some video to run. We're going to dissect, have a look at, you know, the tactical side, the emotional side of some of the biggest wins in Mark's history. It's been curated by himself. The reason I've got this phone up is because the list's on here, so I'm going to need to refer to that. I forgot to put it on a clipboard. So hence me having Adam's phone. Adam might need to refresh the screen for me because he doesn't know how to put it on screen lock, just so you know when we start exchanging the phones. But without further ado, please put your hands together. You've been waiting all day for him. He is an utter legend. It is Mr. Mark Cavendish. Sit down. Right, first up, Mark, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, yeah, not too bad. This is great, isn't it?
It's all right, yeah. It's I came in, I was like, wasn't the stage here different last year?
Yeah, it's a nice...
Do you know what's nice here? Is like seeing the kids here and that.
Yeah.
I come on a Thursday last year and...
a lot of drunk people.
It was just mostly...
Just drunk people, yeah.
Just
heckling. I've seen a couple of drunk... Actually, I was getting a tube in this morning and, you know, when you're going up the escalators and come down the other way, there's this dude carrying a musette, like, hey, you're late! Fuck off. You know? If you want to be that pally with me, you can stay for my fucking interview. You know what I mean?
There you go. There you go. Can't really
Sorry,
argue,
after saying the kids are here, don't use that language, all right? Terrible language.
He was actually raging about that. That's the first thing he said when I met him earlier. He was like, fucking dickhead on the tube. Sorry, kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully he's back.
But as you can see, obviously this new configuration has clearly relaxed Mark quite well, as you can see. But no, it's nice. It's kind of, it's been a lot of fun. And we're going to go through, Mark, you know, your 6 best wins. You've won a lot of bike racing in your time.
Well, you're going to go through me then. That was a bit of a too long a pause there, Matt.
Too long a pause. No, we're not going to spring too many surprises on them, are we?
I think it's mental, though. I really wanted to do this interview with you because I think people forget what you've done. Even I forgot really how good you are, and you're a legend of the sport, really. I think people have forgotten about it a little bit because you've been around in the spotlight for so long. But if you actually go on pro cycling stats, you told me this earlier, and if you look at all Mark's wins, they can't list it all.
No,
There's not enough space.
It's just more for the fact of it became normal me winning.
Yeah.
So it was seen as like, oh, he's losing it if I don't win. But
you set the bar so high, though, didn't you?
99% of the peloton don't ever win.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. But I just
like,
really
oh, he only won
15
races this year. Like,
you are a living legend that's still in the sport, and you're still in the sport as one of the biggest legends, and I think it's forgotten about. And I just wanted
I'm
to...
sure over for that.
But I just wanted to...
Just PayPal it.
Exactly, yeah. I just wanted to highlight it, because it is forgotten about, and I think it should be highlighted more, because you are one of the biggest legends of the sport.
At the end of the day, I'm still racing. As long as I'm still racing, I'd rather not look back on my career.
Yeah. And you got, and also, Mark, before we look at the vids, I mean, you've got a new team for next year, new outlook. You're still hungry. Yeah. You must be excited about what's coming up next year.
I can't talk about it. I won't get paid till the same.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Right then.
But I'm excited, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
really
good. There's a glint in your eye, mate, and I think we're all excited about what's to come for you, Mark, the next chapter.
Thank you very much.
But for now, let's have a little look back. Now, the first video we're going to tee up, and I know this off the top of my head, because it's kind of wrong chronologically, thankfully. 2007 Shelter Priest. Okay. Now, sorry about the pixelation, but this is Mark's first ever pro win, and he's just coming up on the right-hand side. That's him with it. It looks like Mario Kart because of the pixels. But there we go. That was it, riding for Telecom. Robbie McEwen, left-hand side there.
Gert Steegman's third here.
So, and there it is, front on shot, but I'll leave it to you, Mark and Adam, to kind of dissect. You're both sprinters. I mean,
Yeah, like you said, it was my first professional win. I turned professional in 2007. I'd stagiated for Telecom the year before at the Tour of Britain, and a few more races with Tour of Britain was one of them. And actually, I could have won earlier in the year at Etoile de Bessèges, which was traditionally it was the opening race of the European calendar. Etoile de, it was a shit race, like, but
cold, isn't
like
it?
cold, wet,
yeah.
France. It was
Grim.
wasn't that nice, and yeah, we had to. No, well, first we did Marseille, GP Marseille, I think. And Jez Hunt won.
Oh yeah, riding for
the Unibet.
the green and white.
Jez went won,
yeah.
and that was hard. It's my first real professional race, you know. And the next day starts Bessèges, and we had to lead it out. Greipel was in the team, and Greipel was signed as a sprinter, and coincidentally, Bernard Eisel, who's been my right-hand man my whole career, he was signed for Telecom as a sprinter, and I was just this kid who just there, you know, and we went to Bessèges, and first stage was a sprint, and I remember coming over, there's this bridge with like 500 to go, just a little bridge, like humpback, bit bigger than Humpback Bridge, but I had to go to lead Greipel out, and I went, and like 200 to go, I stopped pedaling, and he didn't pass me. And I turned round, and I dropped the peloton. And I was like, I started pedaling to the end, and I got line stabbed by an old Italian sprinter, Angelo Furlan, and so I was second. Whoa, I was in shit.
Right.
Whoa, they went crazy at me. You know, and the thing is, I'd done my job, and it took, to be fair, it was Jez Hunt and some of the other Unibet guys, Bade and Cook, went to the team and said, he was leading out. You never ever go from 500 out to do it. And and Greipel and I never really saw eye to eye. Not just from that moment, but do you know what I mean? That was one of them. But anyway, going back to this. So this was, we started the thing, Greipel was there again at this scale the price. And I was quite fortunate that our director sportif there was Alan Piper, an Aussie guy. He's really fair, really calm. And we were on the bus at the beginning, and he was like, today, we go for Greipel, German team, German sprinter. Team ride for Greipel. Cav, you have a free rein. So just like, don't get in the way, don't mess up the guys, but just take your opportunity if you can.
Wow.
And
okay.
That's rare.
I was like, whoa, yeah. And so the team were there lining up, and in Scelde Price, so Scelde Price, it's the oldest race in Belgium. It's a classic, you know. And you do this big loop. It's changed now, but many, many years you did a big loop out, it had crosswinds, and it finished on a finishing circuit that has 3K stretch of cobbles every lap in it. And they're enough to change the race, but they're not Paris-Roubaix cobbles, you know. And the team were there last lap lining up Greipel, and we come along the canal, it was crosswinds, and I was a little bit out with maybe 4K to go, a little bit back, maybe 50 riders back. And Bernie Eisel, at the time I didn't really know Bernie, you know, he was a sprinter, and he was finished his job, he was coming backwards, and he seen me, and he's like, come on lad, and he moved me up the side of the peloton, and there was a little chicane with a couple of K to go, and it's quite a dodgy finish, like it curves left, and you come up on like a shopping street, so you hit this little curb in the sprint, and so he brought me up, and then I seen a quick step train going with Walter Wayland, rest his soul, and Gert Steegman's there, and I just thought I'll get on Gert Steegman just because he was the biggest guy there, really, you know. And this quick step train went down the outside, and I just followed them, boom, 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 and we hit this little bump, and I just went, and I could see them go, and I could see Robbie, and I flew past Gert, and I just edging past Robbie, and I got it on the lunge, and that was it. And I was, to be fair, like, I couldn't have wished for a better race in a better country to win my first professional race, you know. Like like from then, like I've always had a great relationship with Belgium, and I think it came from winning Skelder prizes in Neo Pro. So.
Don't have to ask any more questions. We had loads written down, but you've answered them all.
No, yeah. I think we're going to run into the evening. This is great. I'm loving
great.
this. But
Let me move back because I've got my back to people.
no, whereas the next up is it's actually not on your list of wins, but it is the 2008 Skelder Prize Podium, where there was a little bit of an incident. That won. You'd won the race again. You won it 3 or 4 times in your career. But let's have a little look at this VT and maybe talk us through exactly what happened there. So,
Whoops. Cavendish slips over. A bit of fun and games here on the podium.
And the carrot, look, he gives me the champagne that goes straight in.
Having a good time.
brilliant stuff.
One swig of champagne, and he falls over.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Happens, isn't it? It's just excited, wasn't I? Yeah. You know. Yeah.
Best part about that, you tried to spray McEwen after.
Open the phone.
Yeah. Well, I've never been on the podium in cleats when I could after that before.
There you go.
It's more when don't try and spray champagne in cycling cleats.
There you go.
That happens.
You live and you learn. So, next up, again, these are all big wins, Mark, but Milan-San Remo, 2009. I bet we've all played this over loads and loads of times, but it never ages. This is the final K.
LPR brakes are there. There's Cavendish looking so calm. He's almost trundling at the moment. Time for the bikes to get out of the way because they're going to come through like a train as Hincapie starts to pick up the pace here. Bikes are waving themselves off. The whistles are blazing here and up to the front. That's Hincapie. Where is Cavendish? He's about 3 riders back. He's on exactly the position he wants to be. Right of the field, left of your screen, and there goes Hincapie. He picks up the pace. Where's Cavendish? Has he been lost just as we come round that one of the penultimate corners here? Oh, it's still open-mouthed and waiting to do it, waiting to hit the pace. Cav just getting himself into position. We've got one of the Garmin boys looking handily as well. Hausler's in position, and here we go. It's now or never time, and the bells have rung, and this is the time. You've got to go, or just pack up and go home. And Hincapie gets on the back of him and just tries to stay with it. Cav gets himself into position. Hausler's there. Oh, my life! Well, they burst for it with 250 meters to go and just edge the field.
Does it get you emotional or not?
Yeah, it does. Like
It's pretty powerful stuff, isn't it?
It is amazing, yeah. I think when you watch that back every time, you still don't believe you win. Every time you watch it, you're like, it's Hausler, he's got
Ryan
it.
Smith didn't, did he? Hausler
Ryan
called
Smith,
it, didn't
yeah,
he?
Hausler. Hausler, he's got it, but he didn't. But for me, the main thing about that, we had a little look at this earlier and yesterday and everything, but it's your ability, and you'll see it later on as we look through more videos, but it's your ability to know when you needed to go.
no, it wasn't. To be fair, I didn't know when
it is. I
go.
think in anyone's eyes, you don't even know when it is. You're just reacting. You're just going. But you'll see it later on in another video where you start doing the same thing unconsciously, like subconsciously. I mean, sorry, yeah, not unconsciously.
You're bringing up the last 2 years now, aren't you?
It's been a long weekend.
It's been a long weekend.
Yeah. It's not even a weekend, is it?
I think it's just that reaction. Hausler went, but then in a moment, in a thousand, if you'd have reacted a thousandth of a second later, you'd have been second.
Well, there's a whole thing behind it, Matt. Like, so San Remo, as you see there, is the end of 6 hours 40. To be fair, we never really do San Remo in less than 7 hours. It's a different race. It's 300 kilometers. You can't really train for that. And what is San Remo works like? It's how cycling used to be before, like, imbeciles took over it. Yeah. You know, and like the course was built to design a story. You know.
Yeah.
And it builds up. Nothing really happens at the beginning. You have the start, and then it kind of settles, and then each climb, each of the capi is bigger than the last. Then you have Cipressa, Poggio, and it just build like crescendos the whole time. What's beautiful about San Remo is that you never know if it's going to be a breakaway, a sprint, or even like that.
Yeah.
Till the end, you don't know. After 300 kilometers, I won by 4 centimeters. You never know what really happens, and so you have to sprint different. Like, I lost before, like a few years ago. I went and I cramped. It was okay. It was that one where it was snowing and that, but I never cramp. I never, ever, ever cramp.
Right.
I'd never experienced cramping before. That was the first time I'd ever experienced it.
Lucky.
You know? And I was in the sprint having to sit down just because your legs just freeze. Like, it was weird. But people try and hold back because you can't sprint for 300 meters, or you shouldn't be able to. But and that had been like, actually, we'd gone fast. I think that was the fastest San Remo after the EPO years, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like we'd gone rapid, you know. I said going right back to the October before it. So I'd done my first 2 years, and I'd started to win Grand Tour stage, won 4 at the Tour in 2008. And we sat down and planned my season for 2009, and Eric Szabo was part of our performance team at the time. And we said, okay, what are your goals for next year? And I was like, no, I wouldn't mind giving San Remo a shot. And they just laughed at me, just laughed straight in my face, you know. And they'd gone for, obviously, Gerard Cielek, who could climb a bit more and that. And I was like, well, why not? You know, I've won tour stages. Like, I've never done it before, but just, they're not mountains, you know. I just have to train to get up that. And they were like, all right, let's do it. And so I spent the winter, I got a solid base in the winter. Really looked after myself. I knew now how to train like a professional. You know, I'd done my first 2 years, and yeah, building up to it. I'd go out and I'd just do like efforts and like kind of stop and start and stop and start, like I was doing the hairpins on the Podio at the end, you know, because it was all about the Podio. It's not just one speed up. You're always stopping. If you're more than 10 riders back, you're really on the brakes, and then you're sprinting out.
One of the only climbers you're actually breaking into the corners.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
quick, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's nuts, and it's just so. It's not a steady gradient either. It's, you know,
It's a
you're
flat bottom in
between
the middle,
you're between your big ring, your little ring, you know, and so I trained for it like that. Come to the race, and like just little things like. My coach for a long time, Rod Ellingworth, like I'd spoke to him before. He'd been through the whole winter training me for it, and he said like he showed me a video, and actually it was Dave Miller and Jez Hunt, and they were riding out of Paris. They were sat talking to each other on the tops in the wind, and Rod's like, see them, like it's 300k long. Like you might not feel like you're doing anything, but they're using energy there, And so I sat on my drops, first 100k. To be fair, we did the first 100 kilometers in 2 hours. It was 50 kilometers on average till the break went, and then I was like, okay, and the Bernie Eisel got on the break, and we'd had a set plan for the whole day that it was like, so we had 8 guys on the team, and it was like, okay, this is what we do. 2 guys. And then we did Limani as well. We did another climb, which was it's a proper climb, Limani. I don't know if anyone's ever done it, but you come down the coast and you turn right through an archway that, if you're going slow through, it's 2 bike riders wide. When you're full gas, it's 1 bike rider wide, you know? And then it's steep. They took it out now, but they put it in the year before because there was a roadblock like further down the coast, so they had to go around it. Then they liked it, so they left it in. And so it was like, okay, these 2 guys, your job is to get Cav first into here. That's your race done. You know, you 2 guys, and we had a phenomenal team. Edvard Wassenhagen, Mark Renshaw, Bernie Eisel, Mick Rogers, Thomas Lofquist, George Hincapie, myself. Who else do we have? Kim Kirchen, maybe? I can't remember. And Lars Bach, it was. And it was like, right, everyone had a job to get me in there, to get me in Cipressa first, and then to get me in Poggio. And that's what they did. 2 guys got me first into there. 2 guys got me first into Cipressa. And then Poggio, it was just George and I left. And it actually lost a bit of position on the Poggio. And coming down, there's videos earlier than that. And it zooms in on George Hincapie losing positions on the Poggio. Now, the thing about the descents of San Remo, there's important. If you lose 1 bike length from the wheel in front, because it's so tight and twisty, the race catches the motorbikes and speeds up, and it creates an elastic effect that snaps the peloton. So the descents was important as the climbs. If you lose a bike length, that's it. You're never getting that back. And George has to be the first person in history to actively try and lose positions off the descent of the Podium. And most people, when they get in a front group of 25 and thing, they look for themselves, you know. And we came in, it does a little chicane in the last kilometre. George moved me to the front. And then, I remember coming round, surfing round, and then Julian Dean, I got boxed in by Julian Dean. And I seen Hausler go. And it was like, oh, and nobody goes, and I was boxed in. And he was going, and this gap opened, and it was just a case of you push all your chips in the table. Like I said, at that distance, everyone's reserved about their sprint because they've been riding for 300 kilometres. And for me, I don't care about getting on a podium. I care about winning. So it was just about pushing everything in the centre of the table and going for it. And if I get caught, I get caught. And that was it. I just went till I passed him, you know.
There you go.
Didn't get
that
caught,
was some
though,
story, wasn't it?
Yeah, flipping it. Yeah, didn't get caught, though.
But yeah, it was pretty much like everything. It was the same as kind of the world thing. There was a big plan around it about doing this thing. I could talk just about that for a whole afternoon. But
special, very, very special.
We'd like to ask more questions. But
we would.
Good storytelling.
Yeah, indeed. Well, next up is stage 5 of the 2011 Tour de France. Pretty brutal, tough finish, not a traditional finish.
Du Moulin fra Cofidis med i spurten, altså side om side med Hushovd.
Der lod han om køre foran. Han så Cavendish ikke var der. Kommer Hagen. Det er Edvald Bossen Hagen.
Og han kommer stærkt. Han kommer rigtig stærkt. Et skud ud af en kanon. Og er det Bossen Hagen?
Det er det.
Sikke en forcering.
Og Feyeux.
Det er det. Edvald Bossen Hagen og Romain Feyeux. Hushovd i 3. position.
Han vinder Tour, den der.
Stadig Bossen Hagen foran Feyeux. Skal det blive norsk igen i dag? Thor Hushovd også med. Går i front her. Thor Hushovd. Rojas i 3. position. Sebastian Hinault. Gilbert spurter med. Gilbert i midten.
Gilbert vinder.
Det er Gilbert forrest. Hushovd er væk. Rojas kæmper videre. Cavendish er også kommet op. Det bliver Cavendish. Der var han. Der var han omsider. Mark Cavendish.
Crazy, that one.
That wasn't a normal lead.
Just take a look at Rolf's face before we go any further. See how Rolf was, and I'll talk about it after.
So I think with that, what really surprised me is when you watch it back, not a lot of people might not have noticed whose wheel you're on. So leading up to it, you never see you until like 200 metres to go, 250 to go. You're on G's wheel. And G's in the white jersey at the time.
Different teams at the time as well.
Different teams. So did you say anything to him, or was it just a case of you're in that position and he was like, I'll help you, mate, or not?
No, there's a couple of things in this finish where it shows that friendship matters, really, you know. Yeah. So this finish that's a climb, man, you know.
But if you look at it, you've got Gilbert there.
That whole tour, that tour in 2011, like, they, like, without sounding arrogant, they tried to cav-proof the sprints.
Yeah.
You know, and they just started making them on hills, like a lot, like. That was it.
That kept doing that, mate.
Yeah. And we knew it, so I was just like, all right, fuck yous, I'll just make sure I go fast uphill then. You know, it was simple as that. So,
there you go.
You know, but I had a big, like this year I hadn't yet won the green jersey. I won 6 stages, 4 in 2008, stopped to go to the Olympics. 6 stages I won in 2009. 5 stages in 2010. I hadn't yet won the green jersey. And I had 2 big goals for 2011, which was win the green jersey and win the World Championships.
Yeah.
So I'd started the season just like, if I'm going, I had to do down under and that. And I was like, if I'm going good there, there's no way I'm stretching it till then, you know? And already then, beginning 2011, people were saying I'm finished, do you know? Because I wasn't going well in down under against guys riding crits for the last few, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I knew I had to be good here. I'd seen the course, and I just knew, like, if I'm lean at the beginning of the year, there's no way I carry that. I'm just going to burn out, you know. And then it's about working hard to this tour, and about winning on these like uphill finishes. But this one earlier, we'd come along the coast and we're on the north of France, and it was lumpy up and down. You know them round Brittany, the roads are just like...
It's like a roller coaster, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just like relentless. And it was crosswinds. And...
First group.
What?
First group.
Yeah, but then we
group.
came to one point, and George Incap, who was around for BMC then, but my teammates for many years, like was probably the reason I won San Remo in 2009. His teammate cut me out of the first echelon, boom. And George was like, Cavo, and gets me and moves me back to the front echelon, earlier on, And we turned left, and that let 5K to go. And we talked about it, and actually Eric Zabel talked us through the final. So Eric used to go in front of us in the car, and he used to drive half hour before the race. And it was like how he explained a finish. You could draw a map, you could see a video in your head of just like he used to relay it to Rolf, and then Rolf would say it had to be word by word. And there's not many people that you can trust enough that if they go, there's a corner with 200 to go, you can't see round it, but you can go full gas without braking. You
got to trust somebody, didn't you?
Yeah. Eric Zahr was one of those guys that you could kind of do that with and everything. And he said, look, it's up. He said, it levels in a minute. He's got in the middle. He's got to treat it like 2 climbs, And it was about a 3K climb up. And so I got over the first bit. This guy's going backwards, because it's a 3K climb. And if someone had told me it levels in the middle, I think I can't sustain this for 3K, So the thing about the tour, it's not a one-day race where you go to your blow, because everything you do during the 3 weeks affects you for the next races. You have to gauge your effort. And so I got over the first bit, and then it's about 10 back, and then guys were going like typical Edvald fashion, like you're not going to win from there, but go on, mate.
Brutal, but fact-based.
And then, I'll take the Tour de France. And then, just coming up, I was actually weren't in too bad a position, but I just heard this, oh, Kev. And it's G, just a massive Welsh head comes past, He's got this head that's too big for his body, And come past in the white jersey, and oh, Kev. And just went, that was all he had to shout.
He just dropped in.
And I just came in, and he just moved me up the side, But we were sprinting. We weren't in the 11 there, and you can see how we're grinding the gears, like it was uphill. But without that, for sure, I don't win. And that shows, to this day, like, that's not the only time G's done that. Like,
That's pretty selfless, isn't it?
I think what's crazy about that, though, is you forget that 2011 year, that was Gilbert's best ever year, and you were sprinting against him.
I was fighting against him for the green jersey the whole tour.
Yeah, Hushov's best ever year. He had the yellow jersey for 8 days, and you put him away on something they're better at than you, traditionally, easily.
Well, it's a common misconception that sprinters are just lazy. Right? I know for a fact some of you will have done this. If you're a bit fat or you've put on a bit of weight, oh, I'm a sprinter. Like, shut the like, don't deny it that you've done it. Like, and it's offensive, man. Like, and the fact that they do hills that they think if you can't go uphill, you're not a biker. It's a physiological thing.
I agree.
It's a physiology. I don't choose. I don't. All I do is train. This for. All I do is train on climbs. That's all I do, because, like, I'm not supposed to go uphill. My body shouldn't allow me to go uphill, and that's why, like.
You can't go uphill.
Yeah, it's a suffering. It doesn't matter how slow I go uphill. I'm always suffering because my muscle fibers aren't made.
But this is in modern world racing why it's so hard nowadays, because you get people like Sagan who can climb still.
Yeah.
And you can still have a fast finish. The days where you're suffering to stay in a gruppetto, it's a lot easier for Sagan to stay in a gruppetto, which makes him fresher for the next day. For that little finish that's uphill again.
Yeah.
And that's the whole of modern cycling now, in a way that Viviani, every single sprinter is getting better at climbing. So there's less of just traditional sprinters anymore.
Yeah.
It's people that can do not all rounders, but fast finishes almost.
Complete,
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway,
right.
sorry.
Next up,
that was G. That shows G's personality as well. You know,
top bloke.
Well, next up, arguably the biggest. We'll leave that to you to decide. It's the World Championships. Leading on from that, that was part of your plan for 2011. So it's the Worlds. Let's look at this.
He's going to come a long way round at the moment. Off Peel Stannard. It's Matt Hayman at the moment of Australia. Setting this up, Heinrich Hausler on the outside. Cavendish is about 10 back.
Lars Bohm sitting down in a very good position at the moment in about 6th position.
Lars Bohm, Borut Bozic, I think, is the Slovenian in the mix here. Heinrich Hausler in an excellent position. They're all looking around to see where Matt Goss is, who's going to go on the left-hand side. Is he? He's behind Heinrich Hausler, Goss, and now Cavendish moving his way through if he possibly can. He's behind Lars Bohm. Oh, it's so close. They're super tight. Heinrich Hausler drives. He's going for the line now. Look on the left-hand side of your screen. That's where it's at. Cavendish has made his way through. Oh, he's done it. Cavendish has done it. He's going to be the world champion. Oh, it's yes! Mark Cavendish is the world champion. Mark Cavendish is the
45k an hour average.
That's it. Not slow. Wasn't as fast as Qatar.
No. Wow.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it is. It's proper. I mean, you heard the cheer, mate. I mean, that's proper goosebump stuff. Every time you play it, everyone just watching it on the laptop earlier on when we set it up. It's special, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, you dream it. Like I had been already world champ on the track twice, but that's what you dream about when you're a kid. You know, yeah, okay, yellow jersey, but you never ever think.
You've got that for life. You've got the bands on your arm for life. It's something special that I think people can get the yellow jersey in the Tour by getting in a break and having it for one day. The Worlds is one day. Everything has to go into that one day. And I think with the Worlds, especially this one, it might have meant a lot more, because of what happened in that race. GB as a team, there was a massive planning behind this whole thing. You can tell me a lot
all
more
we
than
could
I
do
can.
in this race was lose.
Yeah.
Really, you know, there was such a big pressure from ourselves, from the outside to win. You know, it was in pro terms a flat course. You know, and we'd earmarked it for 4 years, and there was more than just the guys who were here that were involved. Like the 2 years before, like everyone used to meet. We used to always meet before the nationals or before anywhere where everyone was kind of going to be in the same place and have this plan. And guys who didn't race there, like Roger Hammond, Daniel Lloyd. Yep. Were you old?
I wasn't around then.
Like it was all try to get one extra place in the races they were doing to try and get us extra points so we could field as many riders as possible. You know, when everyone bought into it, and everyone knew that some guys weren't going to race, but it bought in. It was when we first had the meeting. Rod brought in Tom Simpson's World Champs jersey. You know. And we saw it when we first set it down, and everyone's like, and he's like, we want to win the men's one again, you know, and like it's different. Like Nicole, she just pissed it because she was just phenomenal. Like Nicole was head and shoulders.
This is Nicole Cook.
Nicole Cook, yeah. You know, she didn't need the same planning because she was just so good, you know, and we needed a team, you know, to control it. I couldn't go on a hilly course and just be stronger than everyone. There was this one. We had the fastest sprint in the world. We had the strongest team in the world. At the point we were not even developing as the strongest nation in cycling. We were at the time the strongest nation in cycling. And there was rivalries in the team, and some of the guys didn't like each other. And we all just bonded together to represent our national jersey, you know, which I know I'm always proud to represent my country, you know, and to get everyone to do that for one cause was pretty special. You know, we set going on to the day then. It was 280k, maybe a bit longer, 286 because it was flat. They'd made it longer, and break went boom, boom, boom. And I'll go back actually a couple of days before, and we didn't really know how it went because that uphill as well, that finish. You see that finish? It's a climb, like you know. You'd have a GPM up that on some on some races. In Denmark, in Tour of Denmark, there'd be a GPM at the top of that, you know?
First cap.
So we weren't sure how the sprint would pay out. So watched every race, like the juniors, and we'd won with who won the junior girls that Lucy.
She won it back to back.
Lucy Garner.
Yeah, Lucy.
Lucy had won the day we arrived, actually, and then the men juniors, and then all the races kind of. They had. It's the same. It was exactly the same. They were all sprints.
Yeah.
And I was sat in the room. I was rooming with David Miller, and after the women's race, I was like, "We're going to be world champions." Like
you were that confident. Yeah.
Knew I was. Yeah, I was confident, you know, and yeah, we start the day, and straight away break goes. GB get in the front. Steve Cummins, Chris Froome, you know. It's not bad. Chris had just got second in the welter behind Brad, you know, and they rode. Steve probably did, on his own, he probably did 210 kilometers on the front of that race, just riding. And then we had Jeremy Hunt was looking after me today. So on the climb, there's a finish climb. On the circuit, there's a finish climb. There's another climb around the back. And every lap, I'd just drop back. You know, and every lap on these climbs, the Italians and that big TV attacks, you know what they're like.
TV
Grande, yeah. And, you know, making it hard for the British. Oh, yeah, shut up, you know. Just get back in the peloton. But Jez would wait with me and drop back, and then we move back up the peloton. Twice a lap, boom, boom.
Saving a lot of energy, just saving energy.
And Dave Miller was road captain. We had Stannard and G for the lead out, and Brad was supposed to be in the lead out at the end as well, you know. But we used Froome, used Steve up, Dave. In the last lap, we'd got it back together. We knew the attacks were going to go, and Brad just went on the front with a lap to go, and just like it was warp speed. Like you just see if you watch the last lap.
45.5 k an hour average for that race.
Yeah. And that's with an easy first hour.
Yeah.
You know, we were rolling out with leg warmers on, you know.
Right.
But guys were attacking, like Vauclair would attack, literally get 100 meters and just come back. You know, Brad just set this warp pace, and he was swerving across the road. We were in one line, he was swerving across the road like this to prevent, because if people come up on the outside, their box, they have to back off, then the other side goes, and they have to back off, and that was for the last 3/4 of the lap, and then the Aussies took over, went down, and Stannard couldn't get quite through. No, Stannard went through with G on his wheel, and actually coming into the last corner, Gossi moved over, and on another day, I'd have squeezed through it, but you can't risk that in the last K of the World Championship. So I backed off. I lost G's wheel, and we came around the last corner. Thought Gossi's going to be a perfect wheel to be on anyway. We came around the last corner, which is about 600 to go, and if you see at the beginning of the video, you can see Geraint moving backwards and looking for me. That's another thing of Geraint. Like, tell you, 90% of the pros in the peloton, they got that opportunity. They're that far forward in the last K of the World Champs.
They go for it.
Doesn't matter what you're doing with the team. They're going to get a position, you know. And you can see him. We had this plan. He was sticking to it, and he's looking for me. And even when he finds me, he sits in behind me to create a sweeper, you know. And I'd been sat during the day, and the wind was coming from the right on that final. And so what happens when the wind comes from the right? The peloton kind of vortexes to the left, you know, because everyone's trying to get out the wind. So they all pass, and they try and get out the wind, and that's how it happens. So I thought, okay, last lap, it's going to be in the left-hand gutter, and a space will open on the right. And I had to be patient, you know. Like, I stayed right, and I wasn't open, and then it opened. It was a little bit longer than I wanted to go, but you got to take that opportunity to go at that time, and I went, you know, and was world champion. So.
Fantastic. There we go. We are going to get booted out soon, so we're going to have to skip forward to another one who wins. It's been absolutely amazing. We're running well over, but it's great. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. Who's on next?
I don't know. We might have to shelve him.
Bloke called Kenny.
Oh, it's that Kenny guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kenny Van Vlamik. Like.
Can you open your phone again for the next one?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Just go and put the hat on now, and then we can.
Tell me what.
We'll
tell me what you're talking about.
Kill two birds with one stone, you know.
We might actually have to go and get him in a minute. But next up is stage 18 of the Tour 2012. I mean, let me just make sure this is all cool. We've got 2 more stages to go. Are we all right, guys? I don't want to. Are we cool?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Likewise, if you're bored, just say we go now. You know?
It's Mark Cavendish, for crying out loud. 6 wins. We're good. Okay. Stage 12.
Stage 18.
Stage 18 of the 2012 Tour de France.
Well, there's a story behind this one as well, so we're going to be here all night.
That's why we picked him.
Buy me, book.
We were going to
buy me later.
It's on television. The win of the Tour in 1987.
Wiggins has come to the front in the yellow jersey, Phil, and locked onto his wheel is Mark Cavendish. Is he going to give him a 1.5 kilometre lead out? That would be quite amazing. As Cloden look back, they're all looking back now, wondering where is the main field? Will they catch us here this afternoon?
Well, Wiggins on his own is capable in his track racing days of doing a kilometre in 1 minute without any assistance. There he is. He's got Boysenhagen behind him. The world champion Cavendish locked in. That's Andrei Grivko of Ukraine, who's they've just gone flying by. And can he do it? Because very soon we are seeing 1 kilometre to the finish, and Adam Hansen is seeing stars now because he could win this.
Well, they're round the corner now. There's not very much more than 2 or 3 seconds. It's now being left up to Edvald Boasson-Hagen. Locked onto his wheel is Mark Cavendish. They've still got to catch those 6 survivors of the breakaway here this afternoon. Moving up on the outside is Lotto Belisson looking after their man, and that, of course, Andre Greipel. Then taking one more final bend, one sweeper here as the main field just makes the junction as Hansen comes up, as Cavendish comes up onto the wheel of one of the lead-out men from Lotto Belisson.
500 metres to go. The breakaway is still clear, but the attack is coming. A final effort by the white jersey of Boasson-Hagen. Cavendish is going to have to come from a long way down. Nicholas Roach is opening up the sprint. Luis Leon Sanchez and Paulinho going. Here comes the missile. The white jersey grits his teeth. He chases Luis Leon Sanchez. He locks in, but can he get by? Roach is so close to winning this. He swings across the road. Cavendish has just won his 2nd stage of the Tour de France. He joins the great sprinter, Andre Darrigan.
I got emotional watching.
I got emotional.
Yeah, it's weird.
Welling up.
That was a bit. I think why I wanted to watch this one back was when you won on the Champs-Élysées with Brad. It was the classic sprint stage. Everyone knew you were going to go for it. It's the one you can go for with Brad in yellow. But there is a story behind it. I asked you about this a while ago, and why I picked this one mainly was because how long you started the sprint, but also because Brad led you out, and no one really ever spoke about it. And we got talking about it. Ridiculous, isn't it?
You had to shut a gap with about 300 to go. There was a little bit of a gap opened up. It was
a 700. It was a pure track sprint like that. That was just using my track background for that. Yeah. So what happened is, this tour though, this Tour de France is probably, out of all my wins, being part of the team that won the Tour de France with basically my brother Brad doing it, that's higher than all my wins. That's what something I would have never thought I'd be part of in my career, you know.
I don't think many people in the UK would have thought that either, mate. You know,
but on a selfish note, I sacrificed a lot of my own personal chances for that, actually, like, I know, like, so I'd gone through. There'd been stages during the tour that perhaps we could have gone for a sprint, but it was about saving the team for as much as they can to keep looking after the yellow jersey. And I was riding on the front. I was going back for bottles, and like even on mountains, I was riding on the front, you know. And
as the world champ as well.
You know. And it didn't, like, it was hard not to be able to sprint, but the actual working, I don't mind it, you know. Yeah. It was an honour to do that, you know, no matter what jersey I was wearing, like, fucking hell, Brad's in the yellow jersey.
It's not very often to see the world champion, you know.
But anyway, like,
domestique duties.
The day before this, night before, we had the two directors, Savas Carnarvon and Sean Yates. And Sean doesn't like me, you know, and he never says he's never said well done to me for anything I've ever done. And I know you get on with him and that, and I don't dislike Sean, but I just never felt respected by him as a bike rider, you know. And he didn't really talk to me the whole tour, and Savas come into my room the night before, and he's like, okay, so stage 18, so this is stage 18. There was the prologue, so 18 is really 19, you know?
Yeah.
And then there was a time trial the day after, and then Paris. We'd got through the mountains, like, and so there was the sprint time trial, Paris. And Savas come in and goes, so you want to sprint tomorrow? I said, yeah, please, if it's possible, you know? That'd be nice. And it was a long old stage, it was like 230, 240k, I think. And we got on the bus, so it was like, okay, we sprint. We got on the bus in the morning, and Sean stands in front to do the meeting, and he's like, all right, just look after yourselves today. Like, time trial tomorrow, we're nearly in Paris, just stay out of trouble, let the breakaway go. And I was like, and even Savas turned and looked at him, and I was like, nah. And I was like, well, hang on, Savas, we spoke about this last night, you know? And Sean's like, yeah, but we don't want to risk anything. And then Brad, so we sat there, everyone's seen the images of the sky bush, you know, and the seats are like this, and I was sat maybe 3 back on the left side, and Brad always sat in the front right. And Brad turns around, and he's like, nah, you know what? Like, Cav's, like, busted his ass this week. Like, we go for a sprint. He's like, it keeps me at the front to lead out anyway, but it's only a time trial tomorrow. I'm going to win that anyway, you know? So, like, you know, he was like, no, like, we go for a sprint. And Dave B was on, and Dave B was like, all right, Brad, whatever you say goes. And Brad's like, we go for a sprint, you know? And that's
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
That was pretty special. Like, that moment bonded us quite a lot. I remember that. I remember him, like, how he turned around, how he sat. And I was like, wow, you know? Because when Brad was focused, he could be real insular and not think about other people, you know? But to do that, like, just on the eve of winning the tour was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a climb towards the end of the thing. And Michael Rogers actually didn't want to go for a sprint. And
not friends with Mick anymore, are you?
No, I am, yeah. We're all right now, but that was hard to kind of be like
of course.
With that. You know, he had the same thing of Sean, which was like for me, if you can win everything, if you're only good enough to win one race and you win 2, you've succeeded. If you're good enough to win 2 and you win 2, you've hit your target. If you're good enough to win 10 and the yellow jersey and the green jersey, but you only win 6, you haven't reached your potential. You know, that's my thinking. And Mick was always a bit like, well, let's just, you know, like, you never sacrifice anything for the yellow jersey. Yeah. That's the most iconic thing in sport. And I would never want to sacrifice something for the yellow jersey. But when you can get extra, you know, at no cost, why not? And we let out. Mick actually weren't that good that day. and yeah, we catching the break. And actually, I didn't think we were going to catch them. There's still 30 seconds with a couple of K to go. And it was a bit damp. You can't really see on the video, but it was a bit damp in the corner. And Brad led me like down this straight from 2K to 800 meters, like full, with Eddie on his wheel. And Eddie, in the end, didn't have to do much because Marcel Zeeberg, who was Greipel's lead-out man, who now is my teammate for next year, he dive-bombed me on the last corner and took me off Edvald. And I could see there was those 2 guys or 3 guys ahead. Then there was half the break at 50 meters behind them. And it was like 700. And I took a look. We come out. And Edvald's there. And Edvald takes a while to wind up. He's not that fast. He's not that punchy. And I looked out. It was about 700 to go. And I was like, if I go now, I can use this second part of the remnants, the brake, to run up, keep my speed, breathe, kick again, go around there. So it was literally just track riding. And I saw them, so I kicked, settled in, ran up on the 2. From the front on, you can't see it that well. Ran up on the 2 and slingshot past them using the slipstream, and did the same with the others, and won that. So.
Unbelievable, yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of my favourite sprints to watch, that, because I think when you know your background from the track, it's even more impressive.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Cool. Well, we've got one more to win to show, and it's an important one. These are all important, but it's when you took yellow at the 2016 Tour de France. So let's have a look at that.
Long sprint, really long sprint. When you watch that back, you see how far Sagan goes.
Yeah, but sorry, don't mean to cut in. Go on.
No, you did the sprint, mate. But it looks from a long way that you're sprinting from a long way out.
It was down, not really downhill, but it was like bull tailwind, that sprint.
Ah, right.
So the day before we'd gone, so I'd actually been that was another one of the. How many years I've been pro now? 13? And that was like...
You're getting on a bit now.
That was 10 years into my career, so it was the 10th time that I'd been told I was finished, But I'd gone back, I'd changed teams obviously that year, and I was focusing on... I had four main goals for that year. Want to be world champion on the track, world champion on the road, Olympic champion on the track, and wear the yellow jersey. Yeah. It was an opportunity for the sprinters, and even Eddie Merckx, he was never world champion on the road and track in the same year. No one had ever done it, and so I trained over the winter on the track, full gas, like still doing the road, but I had this aim. Everyone else had like Brad had stopped the year before to prepare for Rio. I knew Elia was stopping after the Giro to prepare for Rio, and I was like, oh, let's just go bigger, let's do something no one's done before. And started off in the year, won Tour of Qatar, GC, a couple of stages there, won the World Championships, and I can remember seeing people saying I had a lackluster start to the year. I was fucking world champion. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that
there were people writing some stuff like that. It was I was incredulous myself.
And then I settled down because I was training for the thing. I was doing altitude camps, I was doing track champs, and the thing is, like, it's a bit. I hate not giving 100% for a race, but the races I were doing were coming off heavy training blocks. They were preparation for this hit out, which was the Tour de France and the Olympics. So like. That's the hardest thing, is mentally you're not winning, but knowing why you're not winning and having to deal with that. And I come in this tour like really wasn't even talked about as a favourite win in the first stage, which was a sprint. And we went training the day before. It was pissing rain, and looked at the final. We always did the last 50 kilometres, it's kind of routine. And come down the final, I felt it was tailwind. And then the bus was like 5k from the finish. So we rode back, and I was like, we got to the bus, and I was just stepping on the bus, it was raining, and I was like, just gonna go and have a look at the final again. Sorry guys, they're on it, sorry, my fault. And keep your eye contact when I'm talking to you. You should know this now. You're on TV a lot in that now, so you should know. But, so I was like, we're stepping on the bus. I was like, I'm just going to have a look at the final again. And Edvald was like, I'll come and have a look with you, you know. Most guys just wanted to get on the bus. And we rode down back 5K, and I looked at the end. And I just wanted to do race speed because it was tailwind, you know, and it was like to be tailwind the day after. And I chose to gear up. I never gear up. Like, I'm not a strong sprinter. I'm not one of, like, the Germans, you know. I'm like a lot faster pedaling. And I chose to gear up to a 54.11 just because it was so rapid. So we start the day, and the day after I had diamonds, like, you know, like when you're pedaling 120 cadence in the group, you know it, you know you're on a good one. And nobody ever gave our team respect anyway, you know, and it was the same that day, you know. The big teams were on the front, and we'd stayed. There'd been a crash with Contador and that early, and some of our guys were behind, you know, and they came in, and then Bernie. So with 5K to go, we come along this road, and then we turn left, and it was a final road, and it kind of was downhill, but not really. Like it wasn't a steep downhill; it just went down. So if you could pedal out if you were going too fast, but it was just always sweeping. And then you came to this final straight. It kind of kicked off, but you had the tailwind and the speed from the downhill. And Bernie got us to the left, and then there was Reinhardt, Jans van Rensburg, Edvald marked me, and Edvald was there on the left, just keeping us there, because with the downhill, people, like I said, people run up because they're getting speed, so you just have to keep to one side so people just can't come over and swamp you. Edvald did that. He finished turning. Someone rode in the back of him. That was the big crash you see at the final. And then Mark went, Greg Henderson come in, and Mark had to hit. Like, if I'd have stayed on Mark, I'd have been way early in the front. So I had to drop back, let Greg in. And then I was on there, then Mark went. And then we come to speed, and it was always a case of someone was going to hit early. With the speed you have coming on the downhill, like, it's always, you have a misconception of where the line is, you know, and you're always going to try and use the speed to jump, but it was just a bit too far to go on your own. But that's what Sagan did. He went, you just saw the line, felt good, and went. There was no real reasoning behind, you know, his tactics. And it worked out perfect, because then he went, and I could jump and use his slipstream. So he went, I jumped off, used his slipstream, I seen Kittel coming, and I knew then I had to get round Sagan before Kittel did, because once you get round someone, if you come back in front of them, their body creates a vortex which moves you forward as well. And so it was a case of using too much sprint earlier, but it got me round Sagan first, and I think that's what kept me ahead of Kittel there in the final, you know. But that was it. I'd waited a long time to wear the yellow. I'd never quite worn it before, you know, bad luck and stuff like that.
Special day. It was
real special, you know.
Well, Mark, you know, we have unfortunately got wrapped into. We've overrun by about 40 minutes, but that doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a pleasure having had him here as well to talk through. But Mark, it's been a blast. You've absolutely enthralled us, and I know you will continue to do so. But put your hands together for Mr. Mark Cavendish. Good night. I'm going to wrap it up. Oh yeah, this guy's well.
I haven't got anything for you.